James Harden is set to be an unrestricted free agent this offseason, and according to Woj at ESPN, he's torn in between the two because he really wants to be with you. Apparently, Harden is considering going back to Houston, a place where the bearded one has had the most success in his career. If he goes back to Houston, it would be likely because most of his family stayed there when he left to go to Brooklyn, and then obviously ended up in Philadelphia, a place where James and the Sixers have pretty much had a championship or bust mentality over the last couple of years, unable to get out of the second round both years. And now Nick Nurse is the new head coach with Doc Rivers out the door. I believe when this is all said and done, James Harden is going to end up back in Houston. I do. In my honest, humble opinion, if home is on your mind, then I think you probably are going to end up going home. You might fight it for a little minute, but if home is on your mind, if it's in your heart, you're going to go home. You look at anybody that's ever got college sick, right? Or you missed home when they were off to college. When I was in college, more times than not, that person transferred out of the college that I went to. If I start to hear those rumblings like, yo, I miss my mama. Don't you miss driving your car? Don't you miss a good home cooked meal, especially early on, like your freshman and sophomore years? More times than not, that person went home. Let alone the fact that James Harden is filthy rich. He loves Houston. He loves his family. And y'all know he loves them night seeds in Houston. And I can't blame him one bit. I think this story ends with James Harden going home. He tried the winning thing with Brooklyn. It didn't work out. The winning thing with Philadelphia, it didn't work out. Got to play with two really, really great players in Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid, and some really good players in Kyrie Irving and Tyrese Maxey. It didn't work out. And nothing lends itself to me to believe it's going to work out in the future for James Harden. If you're Philadelphia, you can say you did all you could to keep him. And then, if you lose him, try to build around Embiid and Maxey. It would be a big blow to Philadelphia just from the standpoint of just because you lose Harden off the books, you don't create $30, $40 million in salary cap just because he decides to walk the way the NBA salary cap is structured. You rather sign Harden and then trade him in the future. If you could, you'd rather do business with Houston and do a sign and trade that way. If you could, if Harden does walk out the door and go from Philadelphia to Houston, to me, it would in theory be ending his prime. I'm not 1,000% sure what the Rockets see in James Harden at this point in his career. Oftentimes we see teams try to go after veteran players that are settled, to build around some of these young guys. Houston's got a lot of young guys that could use some mentorship. By the way, for everything I've heard, I heard Harden's actually really good with team building. I just heard that a lot of the ways he likes to build teams up is by using different type of nightclub events, all the stuff. You trying to hit them streets. He trying to hit the clubs and build that way, right? Which I don't know if these young guys in Houston need. I don't know if Kevin Porter Jr. or Jalen Green or Jabari Smith, I don't know if that's what they need right now. Honestly, I could see Houston going back and getting another former all-star point guard. How about go get Chris Paul if he becomes available, which we expect. He did really good with those young guys in OKC. I could see maybe putting him around some of them young Bulls, teaching them the way, and then Chris walks off into the sun. To me, getting James, as good as he still is, which I thought James had a really good year last year. A lot of people didn't give James a lot of credit. He didn't make the All-Star team. James was really good last year and had a really strong case to make that All-Star game over Tyrese Halliburton. James, to me, still has a lot of buckets left in his career. He's going to get back on that ball more, and he's going to go for it again. And where does that leave the Houston Rockets trying to develop Jalen Green and Jabari Smith? I'm not so sure. Also, Alex Şengün's a really fine player. Can he find the chemistry with Harden, or does it become what Houston was last time around? Dribble, 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 but now Harden's a few years older. I don't know if Harden decides to go back home. I just know when home's on your mind, oftentimes you end up going home. And apparently James Harden is torn between Houston and Philadelphia. I think there's an outside chance that the Phoenix Suns enter the fray. Don't be surprised one bit if they try to convince Harden to go create another super team, which I don't think would lend itself to winning, but I could definitely see Harden, if he's going to leave Philadelphia and not go back to Houston. Phoenix, to me, dots a lot of I's and crosses some T's, some stuff that Harden would be interested in. Let me know, what will James Harden end up doing? My vote is Houston. Please let me know in the comment section. What will the bearded one do? We're expecting him to go into unrestricted free agency. He took a little off the top last year, took a pay cut to allow the Sixers to get PJ Tucker. He ain't doing it this offseason. He going to get a bag where he wants to be at. I'm out.